Hi friends, I'm Ramya and today 7th of Feb, I turn 18. I know I'm a major now, adult, according to the law. I'm very happy today and wanted to start off my first writing. You will find me writings about my thoughts, feelings and moments which some of you might find it funny, boring or even inappropriate. I'm writing to shell out my feelings and thoughts and maybe not abide by the rules of the society. If you find it offensive, please stop reading it. Everyone has some I turned 18 moments, and I'm not different. In fact, I have too many of them. Wishes, you can say, like getting a bike car license, going to an 18 club, plus pub, getting access to many things in life. But there is certain wish which one wandered in my mind for a long time, and that is watching a blue film. But I do like to visit indiansextalk.com from time to time. For folks who don't understand what a blue film is, it's just an adult film. I have heard a lot of stories in my school and collected a lot of information from my friends, but never dared to watch one. I made a promise to myself to wait till I turned 18. Today's the day and I don't even know where to start. Okay, for those who would like to picture me, I know most of them would like to know when a girl starts writing some adult content or even remotely related to adult content, sad but true in this country, no offense India. I figure 30, 24, 32 and 5 feet 6 inches in height and fair complexion and decent good looking girl. I like to be more westernized and bold in my thinking and attitude. I'm currently in 12th standard of a popular school in Bangalore. The reason the school became popular in which I study might be interesting for those who are out of India. The reason for the fame is girls' skirts and before knee, and school is quite popular among the rich. Yeah, foreign folks in India, this is something of a huge thing. I belong to a middle class family and the only child to my parents. Both my parents work, and that is the reason they are able to afford to put me into this famous school. Luckily, my parents are quite forward thinking and let me explore my boundaries. So I do dress with a lot of fashion thought. In fact, my friends say my school skirt itself is shortest among everyone. I'm fine, and of course the teacher and the principal will be fine with it. I hope you understood. If not, you will understand later. Now coming back to my I turned 18 wish of watching a blue film. I went to school as usual and distributed chocolates to my friends and my favorite teachers. I was feeling very restless in the class and wanted to go home and watch something nice. I found hard to consider the classes. Finally, it ended at 4 p.m. I went back home by the school bus, and all the while I was thinking about the website names which I memorized, which could satisfy my wish. You know my wish, right? Finally, my stop arrived and I ran home. I greeted my mom and ran up to my room upstairs, and the way I shouted at mom that I'll be sleeping for 2 straight hours and come down fresh. I took my laptop and sat on the bed. Didn't care to change my school uniform. I was getting impatient with the speed of the computer. Finally, the computer started and I opened the browser and inputted the website. The home page opened and my body became warm and a shock ran through my spine. This is my first time to see the naked pictures in this fashion. I was looking at the menu links to find movies section. Did not understand many movie options. This is my first time, but finally clicked on the movies. Now I got down a list of movie names and selected something which had a word called mature in it. Felt it could be the perfect start for me. Movie started and I was getting tense and my heart was pounding fast. It was my first time. The girl in the movie was also a school student, or at least she was in that kind of uniform. That's what I saw. As the movie progressed, I saw the naked girl and naked man approaching her. I was feeling strange between my legs. You know how it feels. I saw the erect dick approaching the vagina, and I realized my panty becoming wet. I decided to remove my panties and just clean my vagina with tissues. You know how hot I was feeling. And then I saw the man pounding her vagina hard, and she was moaning, and I was getting wet. And you know what I did after that? I felt I got fever and switched my computer off and went on to take a nap. I wake up in some time feeling a lot different and got freshened up to spend some time with my family. I was wearing short pajama and a t-shirt. I went down and I saw my mother and father watching television. I went down lazily and sat in the sofa next to my mother. They're watching a Bollywood movie, Hate Love Story 2. Have you heard about it? It's a famous movie in India, you see. There were a lot of love-making scenes which made me a little comfortable, and I was again getting wet down, and I didn't know what to do because I wasn't wearing my panty down, and the juices from my vagina started falling on my pajama, and I didn't know what to do, and I just ran to my balcony just to get some fresh air. And then, you know what happened? Sunil uncle, who is my neighbor, came there and he wished me happy birthday and called me home to take my gift. My neighbor Sunil uncle and Smita auntie were quite young couples and very good friends. I told my mother and went to Sunil uncle's house. I rang the bell and uncle opened the door. He was in boxers and tee, while Smita auntie was dressed up in a beautiful sari. She welcomed me inside and they presented me a gift. Auntie said she has to leave to a party and she asked me to stay as long as I want. I said thanks and bid goodbye to her. After that she left uncle. And uncle closed the door and insisted that I should open the gift. I said okay and started opening the gift wrapper carefully. You know what I found inside? There was a beautiful dress and a watch. I was so happy to see the dress and thank uncle again and again. He seemed happy and asked me if I wanted to change the dress and look how I look in the beautiful dress they bought me. I immediately agreed and went to their bedroom to change. I took off my t-shirt and pajama and noticed a wet patch on the pajama and cursed myself for not wearing a panty. I wore the dress but noticed it was quite short, which came just below my buttocks, and if I bend a little it shows my ass. I looked in the mirror and felt that I was looking very sexy and hot. So I was happy and went to the front room to show off my dress to uncle. He was spellbound looking at me and said I looked sexy and wanted to take my picture. I decided to pose for him in style and he was getting extremely excited. He was getting all ideas and asked me to pose in different styles. In this process, I happened to notice the bulge in his shirt and electric shock struck me and I was feeling different again. I wasn't feeling the same. I kept looking at his bulge. But still I continued posing, but I was getting wet and uncomfortable. And you know I was not even wearing a panty. Uncle sensed that I was getting uncomfortable and suggested we go get some fresh air in the terrace and maybe continue the photo session there. I also felt that it was a good idea to calm me down, so we both went to the terrace. The terrace was empty, and since it is a very tall building, no one could see us from other buildings as well. I felt calm with a cool breeze that started humming songs. Uncle too was singing. He asked me to pose near the flower pots and tank. Suddenly the wind blew. It became strong and slowly started lifting my dress up. I was continuously adjusting and was not posing properly. Uncle was asking me to ignore the winds and told me flying dress can give him good pictures. He doesn't know the fact that I was naked inside. He insisted for one more picture before we stopped, and I could not say no. It was Titanic pose in the corner of the terrace. You know that famous Titanic pose, right? I raised my hand and he was taking picture from behind. Suddenly, strong wind lifted my skirt, and my naked bumps were completely visible to Uncle for quite some time. I was just trying to adjust my skirt, but the winds were crazy. As I ran to the door, my skirt was lifted multiple times, giving Uncle a clear view of my shapely bumps. We entered the lift together after that to go down, and I could notice Uncle was laughing and his tent grew in his shorts. I felt embarrassed and said sorry, but he told me not to worry and he will not tell this to anyone. We entered the house so that I could change and leave. I hurriedly went inside the bedroom to change and was walking towards the cupboard when I badly hit my knees on a cot edge. I shouted in pain and Uncle rushed in to check me. He immediately ran to get a balm and asked me to lie down in the bed so that he can apply the balm to my knee. As I was in pain, I could not say no, and I laid on the bed carefully not to expose my nakedness underneath the dress. He applied the balm on my knee and started massaging the leg to ease the pain. As he reached the inner thighs, I was unable to control the excitement of pain together. I started breathing heavily, It was so difficult to keep my breath normal. It was heavy. I started feeling something between my thighs, and I started breathing as heavily as I could. Uncle moved the legs wide apart to gain access to the legs. I felt a tingling sensation in my pussy and I knew I was very wet. His hands crawled, touching me on and touched my pussy, and I couldn't stop, and finally I had to give out a moan. And I was moaning as he was massaging my inner thighs. I couldn't stop the feeling, the tingling between my legs. It felt good to me. Since his hands were full of balm, he didn't insert the fingers but kept massaging my inner thighs. I noticed the tent has grown too big to be unnoticeable. He saw me looking at it, staring at it, and asked me if I want to see it for real. I was too scared and said no, but he insisted and pulled down his shorts, and there was the monster 7-inch penis. I was very scared of the consequences and asked him that I would leave, and he did not force me. He pulled up his shorts and left, and I changed into my pajamas and went back home. That was how my day ended. Oof, what a day it was, and I was still wet for the longest time.